Look around. Almost every major commercial building, tech platform, and private equity syndicate is quietly controlled by a specific tier of the financial elite. They play an economic game entirely separate from the retail public. Your relationship with money usually scales through two initial stages. In stage 1, you trade finite biological hours for a baseline salary to cover survival needs. In stage 2, you reach equilibrium. Your inbound cash flow exceeds your monthly overhead, allowing you to buy back your time. Past the $100 million mark, money behaves like a sovereign institution. The sheer scale of the capital generates a level of logistical complexity that makes traditional personal management impossible. Standard banking systems and simple index funds break down under the weight of a 9-figure fortune. At this scale, even a minor fractional yield generates millions in monthly cash flow, creating a constant pressure of tax liabilities, legal exposures, and international inheritance obligations. To keep this capital from decaying under regulatory friction, billionaires abandon traditional retail systems. They build a biological host for their wealth, a family office. This map illustrates a massive, largely invisible financial infrastructure. Over 12,000 private family offices now operate globally, quietly commanding between $6 and $10 trillion in private wealth. As $84 trillion begins to migrate from baby boomers to their heirs, the ultra-wealthy are launching an aggressive talent war. They are poaching elite tax attorneys and M&A lawyers directly from global firms to build their own private fortresses. Moving this operation entirely in-house grants these families an asymmetric edge. They develop their own proprietary deal flow and data, operating with a level of speed and discretion that no standard hedge fund can match. If you liquidated a tech venture today and walked away with $500 million, your first move is to vanish. You strip your personal name from your assets by forming a private limited liability company, naming it after an obscure mountain or childhood street to ensure it remains unsearchable. You then route your headquarters through an investor-friendly legal hub. While many U.S. founders choose Delaware for its corporate courts, the global elite often prefer the tight privacy laws and zero tax capital efficiency of Singapore, Switzerland, or Dubai. Your first human capital hire is a chief financial officer, usually poached from an elite private banking division. Their immediate mandate is to consolidate your entire footprint, real estate, private equity, and cash, into a single, secure master ledger. The CFO then brings in a generational trust attorney to design a network of irrevocable trusts. By surrendering legal personal ownership of your wealth to these entities, you firewall your capital against future lawsuits, marital divorces, and the 40% U.S. estate tax. Finally, you install a chief investment officer. Their full-time job is to bypass retail brokerages and secure direct, off-market access to elite private equity syndications, ensuring your capital velocity outpaces inflation across macro cycles. This architectural triad establishes a legally binding, self-sustaining institution designed to outlive the original founder and preserve power for generations. The 2019 divorce of Jeff Bezos and Mackenzie Scott served as a high-stakes stress test for this machinery. It was a massive systemic threat to one of the world's largest dynastic fortunes. The settlement mandated the transfer of 25% of the couple's joint Amazon equity, a block of shares worth roughly $36 billion at the time. While the headlines focused on the payout, the transition itself was flawlessly executed behind closed doors. Because the family office had pre-arranged the structural trusts years in advance, the transfer happened without public stock panics, protracted court battles, or wealth-eroding tax events. The office absorbed the crisis entirely. Bezos maintained stable voting control, his wealth continued compounding, and the public confidence in his empire barely wobbled. This leaves one logistical question. If billions are locked away in corporate stocks and offshore trusts, how do the ultra-rich fund their daily lifestyles without selling those assets and paying taxes? They execute a loop known as buy, borrow, die. First, they buy finite appreciating assets, like founder stock or commercial farmland, and they never sell. By holding indefinitely, they avoid triggering realized capital gains, keeping their tax liability at zero. Instead of selling shares, they use their portfolio as collateral to secure ultra-low-interest credit lines from elite private banks. They fund their homes and private travel using borrowed money, which the legal code does not recognize as taxable income. Death activates a specific legal provision, the step-up in basis. The inherited cost basis for the heirs resets to the current market value, and the decades of accumulated capital gains tax liability simply vanish from the system. By utilizing tax-free life insurance to settle the remaining bank loans, the heirs receive an unencumbered fortune. The elite have effectively made the standard taxation system optional. The lesson of the family office is true wealth is managed through systems, not just savings. If you are operating without significant capital, you cannot copy a billionaire's defensive tax strategy, but you can copy their structural logic. Billionaires build systems using teams of people. You must build yours using high-leverage technical skills. This is the active sovereignty track. You trade your time to master a specialized capability, like full-stack development or commercial property underwriting, that allows you to generate a high-margin cash flow. This cash margin must be funneled directly into building a scalable digital asset or a physical property portfolio. You are essentially building a digitized version of a family office, a machine that produces yield independent of your presence. You are architecting a system to permanently buy back your lifecycle autonomy from the open market. Stop acting like an emotional consumer and start building your machine. Subscribe right now and drop the word future in the comments to declare which stage of the wealth matrix you are executing next. We'll see you back here for the next masterclass.